hello there, Clive. It's lovely to sit down today with you and talk about your work and the company itself. Please, can you describe your role within the company and what you and the company are doing within the lab informatics space?
Sure. I'm head of the Connected Lab business here at Merck. The team's mission really is to be kind of a unifier within the life science informatics space. We have a number of vendor agnostic digital solutions. So we're aiming to kind of bridge the information divide between all of the different systems and techniques that are used in the lab today to make information, more available across the organization from the bench through to IT and, up into the boardroom. Innovative pharma and biotech companies today are embracing digital transformation to get an edge on their competitors. We have a range of solutions from real-time materials management software right across to an award-winning platform for data harmonization and visualization.
That sounds really good, and we all know how important data harmonization and visualization is right now within the industry. It's essentially one of the one of the hot topic areas right now, if I may say.
Yeah.
So it's good to see that you are very heavily involved in this space as well. Great. So you touched upon the lab data, that how the company is involved in that, and the range of services that pertain to lab data solutions use as well as management. So what are some of the major challenges that you observe within this area right now?
Yeah. So for decades, I think that the data landscape, and certainly in life science laboratories and many other industries as well, is very fragmented. Your typical analytical lab has HPLC, LCMS, NMR, a whole bunch of other techniques, all of whom have their own kind of proprietary software interfaces, and more importantly, their own proprietary data formats. And many of these exist for very good reason. Instrument companies develop software systems with proprietary data formats as a differentiator between them and their competitors. The problem it creates for the end user laboratory, particularly today, where they are all going to be, heterogeneous in terms of the technology that's there, the instrumentation is there. Analysts are spending, upwards of 50% of their time manually transcribing, reviewing, and transferring data. There's a tremendous kind of amount of time being wasted on repetitive tasks. There's also the unnecessary risk of human error, introducing human error into the process through all these manual processes. And even these problems exist even in labs that have already implemented kind of best of breed LIMS, SDMS, and ELN products. When people think of lab automation, they automatically think of robotics, and they invest heavily in lab equipment. But we, within the Connected Lab initiative, we see a huge potential for process efficiencies with data automation and harmonization.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you very much for sharing this with us. Of course, there's obviously it's all about data right now. How we can make use of it, how we can make the labs as digital as possible with the resources that we have available right now. But certainly there needs to be some standards as well put down, some data standards that we adhere to. So what is the importance of data standards right now in 2021, and how do you see the future evolving within the area?
Very good question. I think the last year or two has proved to all of us that the modern lab is no longer confined to the four walls where the experiment is run. Teams of scientists and and partners need greater flexibility for remote collaboration. But also companies need much more secure safeguards for IP protection and storage. So so standardizing laboratory data into a common format has a whole bunch of benefits. It's easier for raw data and results to be shared with internal or external partners and collaborators. It kind of presents enables a single source of truth, if you like, for experimental data, data that can be preserved and reused at a later date, even if the software has become obsolete. And big data initiatives like predictive analytics, data mining, AI-driven drug discovery, they need a data standard first before they can start leveraging and training large data sets. So what we at the Connected Lab initiative have done is we've embraced the animal data standard for analytical and biological data. Animal, the analytical instrument markup language. It's a vendor neutral, technique agnostic data standard. It was developed by ASTM. It's actively maintained by a diverse group, a nonprofit. We actually have firsthand experience of being able to adopt the animal standard internally in our own analytical labs in Darmstadt, Germany. They've actually realized almost 400,000 euros in savings through adopting animal and the data standardization and process automation benefits that they could realize from that.
Oh, wow. That sounds really good.
Yeah, it's very powerful, actually. I mean, it can be
Yeah.
a great time saving
Mm.
and for process efficiency too.
Yeah, 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 exactly. So what technologies Merck is developing for scientists in order to overcome these challenges that we touched upon within the interview today?
So through the adoption of the animal data standard, we've actually developed a significant library of data converters and instrument connectors, numbering in their hundreds, actually, hundreds of different distinct measurement techniques, instrument interfaces, and leading software systems using bidirectional interfaces, not necessarily with the animal standard, but with the CELA standard for bidirectional communications, for example, between chromatography data systems and LIMS. So that this this is real time. This is today. Hundreds of these converters exist today, and so labs can today use them to create a kind of harmonized digital ecosystem. Also, due to an acquisition that we made some years ago of BSSN software, we're also able to provide really robust data storage, archival, and retrieval solution, particularly important in regulatory environments, obviously, but important in all laboratories. To be able to securely store their data, archive their data, retrieve their data, to be able to visualize data that was perhaps acquired 10, 20, 30 years ago, where the instrument or the data system no longer exists. And so the second component to that is this visualization, the ability to visualize chromatograms from my Agilent LC and my Waters LC, or to be able to compare them, obviously in real time, but also to be able to collate, LC data, maybe NMR data, mass spec data, using a single visualization tool. And of course, this is all stored in the animal format, which is a human readable format, and gives you protection against the future. The one other component that we have within the Connected Lab initiative is the Lanexo lab management system. And so this provides really a kind of one-of-a-kind solution for real-time inventory, safety, and compliance monitoring for highly regulated labs. It's based on, things like these 2D barcodes with RFID tags built in for where you can attach them to locations, to vials, to jars, to all of the inventory that you have within the laboratory, and to provide predictive analytics about when the inventory is likely to run out, and automate the replacement and restocking of chemicals. And in some of the deployments that we've seen here, not just within Merck labs actually, but in other labs, they've been able to achieve up to a 97% time savings in experimental setup and documentation. And so it's really bringing smartphone technology to the laboratory to increase traceability, efficiency in terms of eliminating the waste of a half-used bottle of chemicals that is now expired, but also in terms of productivity of not having to write all these things. I used to work in the lab, and nobody who works in the lab enjoys doing that kind of mundane routine work. And so this totally automates it, eliminating all the transcription errors that go along with it as well.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you very much for this very this is insights into what the company is doing, as well as your views and opinions on this market. It's a very changeable market, I would say.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, if we were to sit down at this time next year or in 5 years' time, what do you think? What we'll be talking about? Would we talk about the same challenges as you went through today? Would we talk about the same key topics or the key areas that people are working on?
I think it's just going to be an acceleration of what we're talking about today. I think there are significant changes, obviously, in the way we work, the future ways of working, and being able to remotely run your experiments and analytical runs is going to be much more important. I think IoT will become significantly more important. I think standards have a part to play there also. I think we have to recognize that the demographic of our customer base is changing significantly as well, where traditionally you might have had PhDs doing the mass spectrometry. Now they're graduates, undergraduates, maybe even just school leavers. So the amount of training that you need to provide them needs to be reduced. They don't have a concept of the computer room as far as they're concerned. This is the computer room. They carry it in their hand all the time. And so being able to leverage mobile technology, Internet of Things, but the fundamentals won't change. We have, particularly within the regulated environment, we have regulatory needs around data storage, data archival, data retrieval. Big data is making that problem even greater with increases in volume and speed and veracity, and it's just going to increase in terms of the scale of the problem. So I think adopting standards today that enable you to create these kind of lakes of data in a standardized data format will be the first step, I think, in releasing the potential value of that data by applying things like analytics and AI to them.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you very much, Clive. It was lovely to hear all of these thoughts.
Sure, no
Great.
problem.
Well, we are very pleased to have Merck on board for the event in September for the Smart Labs and Laboratory Informatics Congress that's taking place actually in about 3 weeks' time.
Right, yeah.
What is that you are most looking forward to getting out of the event? Is it the networking bit, the presentations, or just simply be back at a conference room and discuss, the pressing challenges and priorities of the industry.
Yeah, it's been a strange year or two. We're eager to get out there and meet with our peers, with our end users, with our partners, many of whom we'll be seeing face to face for the first time in a long time. We're looking forward to better understanding what has changed in their world, what kinds of new challenges they're facing, and how Merck can position itself to better support their digital transformation efforts. We're really looking forward to it.
Yeah, well, we are very much looking forward to welcoming you as well at the event.
Cool. Looking forward to
Great.
it.
Well, thank you very much, Clive, once again. It was great to have this chat with you today. And I look forward to seeing you again at the event.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Thanks for your time.